If the PowerPoint is visible, you may just tell me. Okay. All right. Is it visible? Can you see the very first
Yes.
slide? I'm changing it. I'm changing it. Right. There are so many PPTs. I think initial spell of online sessions we depended on that, but later when you came to college and I did not use this and I forgot. Now we will come to, okay, the very concept we are discussing today. All right, that is umlaut. All right, so remember, do you have any idea what we mean by umlaut? Right, you have, is it have you do you see this slide, sound changes in English and umlaut? Do you see that? Is it
Yes,
visible
sir.
to you?
Yes, sir.
It's visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so please listen to me. I'll give you a short introduction which would of course help you to understand umlaut. So the very word umlaut has a meaning, right? And the meaning of the word is, okay, different vowel quality. In umlaut, the very word means different vowel quality. Okay, so in fact, the term umlaut, then you have Grimm's law, Verner's law, all, then of course your vowel shift, the great vowel shift, all these come under what is known as sound change. So if you are asked to write an essay on sound change, you can just write about, you can write an intro about sound change. Thereafter you can mention the great vowel shift. Okay, under the after that you can just write about umlaut, you can write about Grimm's law, you can write about Verner's law. Okay, so maybe you can say that, right, not maybe, of course you can say that Grimm's law is about the very consonant, some consonant sounds of like per, turker of Indo-European, right? Similarly, the Verner's law is also, Verner's law is an improvisation of Grimm's law. Both just help us understand the kind of association and relationship of the consonants among the Indo-European family of languages, right? So umlaut is right about the vowel sounds. Okay, so you can just generalize this way, that Grimm's law and Verner's law are about the kind of similarities and differences in the Indo-European family of languages. But umlaut is about the very vowel quality or the different vowel quality in the very Indo-European family of languages, right? So by asking the scholars to look at the different similarities and maybe the differences, the scholars, right, philologists, they help us to just conclude or substantiate the fact that some of the languages of the world are of course daughter languages, or there are of course, or most of the languages just develop from, right, ancestral common languages or language families, right? So uh, these theories like Ayumold, Grimm's law, or Verner's law is part of substantiating the reality or the phenomena that all the languages are, most of the languages come from language families, right? Now we come to the very term we have to discuss, umlaut, right? So umlaut is right, also known as I umlaut, right? Similarly, we have of course other maybe vowel quality changes, and based on the very specific vowel quality that is under the consideration, it could be, all right, I umlaut or yet another vowel quality study. Okay, so now we have to understand what is known as I umlaut. So this is in fact a sound change. Okay, and this sound change known as umlaut in general and I umlaut in particular occurred in most of the Germanic languages, right? Indo-European family of languages. You have the Germanic languages, and this very specific sound change occurred during the Old English period. And what happens during the Old English period is certain vowels and diphthongs. Vowels and diphthongs, like within bracket, you look at the slide, you can see within bracket you have diphthongs and vowels. So certain vowels and diphthongs such as a, o, u, ao, and eo in accented syllables, when they were followed by an e, all right, look at that, that symbol is pronounced e. When these diphthongs or the vowels in this group in bracket in accented syllables, the condition is accented syllables, right? When they were followed by an e or e, all right, they had some specific changes, right? Under such circumstances, okay, the a and sounds became a. All right, this is the very sound change, or the sound change of the maybe the vowel, right? Okay, so this is one of the features of what is known as umlaut, right, or umlaut. All right, now same condition, right? Okay, vowels and diphthongs in accented syllables when they were followed by an I or A. Number one, okay, the a and became a, or number two, the o long sound became a. Number three, the sound became a. And number four, the oo sound became e. All right, so in all the last element you can see, all right, okay, under such circumstances the number one, a and became a. All right, a. All right, so also the second one became, all right, a again, and the third one is becoming the right, a, and the last one is becoming the ear. All right, similarly, that's about all these four, you can understand, right, are monophthongs, right? Similarly, diphthongs again, the first one under such circumstances, that is in fact a single sound, but I don't have that key here or that script here, so I have just made it with two. It doesn't mean that it is a diphthong, it is just a monophthong, right? And now diphthongs, a, ao, and eo became ea. All right, this is again another change gradually, and later the later, okay, remember the a became number one, a, ao, and eo became ea, or even after that these three diphthongs became e. Look at that, okay. Sometimes, okay, they also became e. All right, so such a vowel quality change over a period of time, all right, and you will see that the change is to maybe, all right, an e sound. The vowel quality is changing from the vowel quality of all the above sounds, monophthongs and diphthongs, is changing to an a close fronted e sound, and such a vowel quality change which happened to many monophthongs and diphthongs in the Old English period. All right, it happens not only in the English language, right, it happens in most of the Germanic languages. This is a common feature, all right, and now that it happens to the English language, Now that it happens to, of course, the German languages and the other Germanic languages, you can understand that number one, all these languages come from maybe a common ancestral language family. All right. So this is, of course, the important fact you need to keep in mind about umlaut, and I can give you more maybe ideas about what's happening, all right, further during or as the language is developing. So now you have the vowels and the diphthongs undergoing some changes, and as a result of that changes you have in vocabulary items as well. Okay, say for example, you have in Old English something like bankies, all right. So the word bankis, which in modern English means bench, became bank after after a while, right? So look at that, bankis, right? That bank is sound is becoming a bank. Bankis is becoming bank, and another vocabulary, muses, right? Muses. So this muses is becoming mees. Muses is becoming mees. And what is muses? Muses is modern English mouse. Okay. So in future modern English, this mees is becoming mice. Okay. So it's quite easy to understand at the moment that the vowel quality in certain vocabulary items, okay, and the very monophthongs and diphthongs of the Old English period, all right, in Old English as well as Germanic languages undergo some changes, and that changes to maybe a closeness, all right. It is of course right, the tongue is articulated at an elevated position in the mouth cavity. The tongue is just going up closer to the roof of the mouth, and the tongue is fronted, and you have something like the change of the vowel to an E sound, and such kind of a vowel change, maybe the quality change of the vowels and the diphthongs, you know, diphthongs and monophthongs are vowels, right? Okay, is known as umlaut. And this change occurred in the English in the course of the 17th century. It continued, right, from Old English, Middle English, and it continues just like your great vowel shift. You know, the great vowel shift I told you the other day, it is taking, of course, taking place during 3 stages. All right. Similarly, 3 peculiar time like 1100 AD, 1500 AD, and 1700 AD. Similarly, the umlaut, it is just a gradual process, and the change which began in the Old English period is continuing, and it continues in the English language, and during the change occurred in the English language in the course of the 7th century, and when we find it taking place in a word borrowed from Latin, it indicates that the Latin word had been taken into English by that time. Thus Latin moneta became munit in prehistoric Old English, and minate, okay, later, and it became mind, mint, mind in modern English. So look at that, moneta of Latin is becoming in Old English munit, and later it becomes minate, and modern English it becomes mind. Okay, so the vowel quality of monophthongs and diphthongs change over a period of time, and it happens to, of course, different monophthongs and diphthongs, and you can just trace different changes in vowels, especially the E sound, right? Say maybe another change that helps us to date a borrowed word is that known as Pallatal Diphthonization, right? Okay, what do you mean by this is, right, the tongue is going to the hard palate, you know, you have the palate, right, hard palate, right, and you have the sounds, right, okay, like then you have a, all right, in old English, right, and these which is of course above half open, and a even above, right, half close, okay, so these sounds changed to a diphthong like a and ea when preceded by certain palatal consonants like k, j, and sh. Old English, chiese, chiese, all right, later became cassie, all right, and later it becomes CSA, all right. So uh, remember the fact that umlaut refers to the uh, change of the vowel quality, and many vowels, monophthongs and diphthongs, underwent a lot of changes as the language just evolved, right, and the based on the kind of quality change that happens to maybe peculiar sounds, okay, you have different kinds of umlauts, right, umlauts, right, and you have I umlaut, right. That is, of course, the kind of vowel quality change that happens to the front close e sound. Okay, if maybe open sounds, right, half open sounds, half closed sounds, etc., are just articulated at a close position, fronted position, palatal position, you can just say that there is, of course, the quality change of the vowels. Is it clear right now? I think maybe you have an idea of umlaut right now. Just know that it refers to the quality change of a vowel. All right, different vowel quality, umlaut. Is it clear? Did it help
Yes,
you?
sir.
Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, now do you want me to, I talked to you about Grimm's law some time ago. Maybe you, if you want, I can talk further about Grimm's law, and I know that this is, of course, a kind of sound change that is just studied by the great scholar, German philologist Jacob Grimm, and all these studies, right, Grimm's law, Verner's law, okay, the philologists, they just want to find a lot of aspects of the language, and they have different purposes, right. One of the purposes is to substantiate the fact that all these languages, especially English, is a Germanic language, and they just want to substantiate the fact that okay, all these languages come from an ancestral language, and they are finding a lot of affinity and similarity between many languages. And we have Jacob Grimm, who states that the Indo-European p, t, k sounds changed into f, th, the, and h in Germanic languages. All right. So you have the Indo-European p just changing into f in Germanic languages, and Indo-European t gradually changing into th and th, and Indo-European k changing into Germanic her. All right. So this is the kind of change that the studies of Jacob Grimm found, and later a subsequent philologist like Werner, you have Karl Werner, okay, and Karl Werner just wanted to, he studied further, and he just wanted to, of course, add something to the very findings of Jacob Grimm, and he said that okay, it could be right, he could have been right, it can be slightly improvised, right, and he said that Jacob right, Grimm's law is valid or true whenever the accent fell on the root syllable of the Sanskrit vocabulary. But when the accent fell on another syllable, the Germanic equivalents became b, d, and g. This is important. So remember, it's quite simple. You can just remember it in three levels. Okay, it's there in this slide. Look at that. So Grimm said that, look at first two lines, that is of course vertical lines, not horizontal. Okay, Grimm says that Indo-European per became fur. All right, and ter became the or the, and k became right, g. All right, and Werner said that if the accent, okay, when the accent fell on another syllable, okay, the Germanic equivalents per became right, b, and d became, okay, right, yeah, ter became, the Germanic equivalent per became b, ter became d, k became g. All right, this is what Werner said. All right, so all these laws are about in fact sound changes. All right, okay, so you have more explanations of the Grimm's law and the Werner's law. So you can read this slide. Is the slide visible? I'm just reading from the slide. Grimm's law, beginning sometime in the first millennium BC and perhaps continuing over several centuries, all the Indo-European stops underwent a complete transformation in Germanic. At the end of the complete cycle of change, the following pattern had emerged. Indo-European per, ter, k, k, and it became the Germanic fur. Per became fur, ter became the, k became s or her, and k became sir. And Indo-European b, d, g, g became, Indo-European b became Germanic per, d became Germanic ter, g became k, and g became k. And Indo-European b became Germanic b, g became d, and g became g, and g became g. Right, slide. In short, all the Indo-European voiceless stops had become voiceless fricatives. All right, fricatives, right, look at that. Fricative is the air escapes through the active articulator and passive articulator. Stop, there is a opening, all right, there is a closing stage, a hold stage, and a release stage, right? Per, but voiceless, it is f. Look at that. The lower lip, upper lip come to maybe very close to each other, no contact, air is let out, and per, both the lips touch each other, air is held inside, it is let out with plosive. Okay, so voiceless stops had become voiceless fricatives. Per, f. The Indo-European voice stop had become voiceless stops. All right, then the Indo-European voice aspirated stops had become voice stops. Later changes in the individual Germanic languages have modified this pattern in certain environments, but we need not be concerned about these details at this point, right? So we have a lot of sound changes. All right, this is just about the plosive sounds, right? Okay, most of the sounds, almost all the sounds undergo a lot of changes as the language is progressing from Old English to Middle English to Modern English, right? Although certain correspondences between the consonants in Germanic languages and those in other Indo-European languages had been observed earlier, it was Jacob Grimm who codified them in 1822. Therefore, the change is often termed Grimm's law. All right, I think it's clear right now. Grimm's law is clear, and now again we have more about the Werner's law. All right, we have a different slide here. Is the slide visible? Slide on Werner's law visible? Is it visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so look at that. I'll just read. It's self-explanatory. It is Werner's law is as follows: if any Indo-European, i.e. is Indo-European, If any Indo-European consonant was preceded by an unstressed vowel, the voiceless fricative which developed from it in accordance with Grimm's law became voiced, and later it became a voiced plosive. So the essence of the law is voicing of voiceless plosives. Okay, per is becoming fur, is becoming bur. Okay, so you have septem, all right, in Latin septem, L is Latin septem is becoming Old English seophon, okay, and you have the next, of course, the 7, right? Okay, that is the 7 is Germanic, okay, and it is becoming sieben, okay, and similarly ter is becoming the, and the is becoming de. Similarly, you have the ke undergoes a change and it becomes her, and her is again undergoing a change and it is becoming g. All right, so all these like Verner's law, Grimm's law, umlaut, all these come under the sound changes. Okay, so now I think we can just if you don't have any maybe doubts, we shall just discuss maybe some question paper. So are you ready for maybe a question paper discussion? Shall we look at a question paper?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so look here. I am yet to make a question paper in the revised pattern, but I have one question paper. This question paper is first semester MA degree examination, November 2019. Okay, this is of course the pattern before the previous, and we have part A and part B. All right, part A and part B. Part A, short essay questions. Answer any 5 questions, each carries 2 weightage. All right, and you have write a note on pigeons and creoles, short essay. Okay, write a note on pigeons and creoles. I think you have a material with you. I have shared material with you. I told you about pigeons and creoles. We saw that the other day, so this is not a tough question. Should I talk to you more about pigeons and creoles? Do you need my
No, sir.
No, sir.
you have material? So if you need, I can talk, but I think you have the material. I have given you 1, 2, 3. All right, in fact 3, yeah, 3 pages, and I'm sure these 3 pages will come to almost 600 words. All right, more than 600 words, and that would be enough. We know what pigeon and creole are. Study that. This is a short essay. Okay, next all right, is received pronunciation. Write a short essay on received pronunciation, and I'll tell you something, right? This is of course the previous syllabus. Although it is previous, maybe it is part of the English language, and you need to have an idea of received pronunciation. So I'll give you the very detailed concept, or rather the basic concept, right? Very basic concept of the received pronunciation. So listen to me. We have the great English language, and we look at the modern English language. We will find that maybe in England alone, in Great Britain alone, there are more than 35 different accents, right? And that's in England, right? And now when we look at, of course, the other nations of the world, especially like United States of America, America is again another, the second country where English is most used, right? So if we look at all these countries, we understand that there are different accents of English, and the question is, which is the standard English, or which is the received pronunciation? The received pronunciation, okay, which is the best accent, or which is the accepted accent. So received refers to accepted. accepted. Okay, so received pronunciation is the accepted pronunciation. And what is the accepted pronunciation? Okay, and we come to the conclusion that all right, as English language progress from Old English to Middle English and Middle English to Modern English, there evolved different dialects of English. During the medieval period, rather during the Middle English period, we had a peculiar dialect in England, that is of course in the center of England, like the London region. London is of course the center of the British Isles, and there is so much of movement, business, trade, relationship. All right, a lot of people coming, a lot of foreigners coming. Okay, government officials from all over the Europe coming, right? And besides all that, we also understand that London is of course a place where you have the leading universities of Oxford, Cambridge, and okay, you have of course the very East Midland, right? Because of many reasons, the East Midland dialect during the Middle English period is becoming dominant, and this dialect is used by Chaucer, and this dialect is used by of course many contemporary writers of Chaucer, and this is the very dialect that was used during the printing, the initial days of printing, and this is slowly, the East Midland dialect is unifying the English language. Slowly the East Midland dialect, from the East Midland dialect developed the modern English. All right, and that modern English is the very English that is used for the very lecture in universities of Oxford, Cambridge, and so also that is the medium of communication in most of the public schools of England and most of the public schools of all the British colonies, right? And slowly this accent is becoming the, this is in fact who used this language, that's very important. This accent is used by, this pronunciation is used by the teachers, the professors, the students, okay, and this is the accent used by the educated people, and because of that reason this peculiar accent is known as educated standard Southern British English. Very important, it is known as educated people use this English, educated standard, and this is standard because this is accepted by, all right, the press, the universities, the scholars, the professors, all right, the print or in writing, right? So this is the educated Southern British English, right? It is used in the south part of London, all right, and this educated Southern British English is also known as received pronunciation, and that is the accent we have in the Broadcasting Corporation of England, BBC, right? The British Broadcasting Corporation, right? BBC, British Broadcasting Corporation. That is the accent we have in, of course, all the colleges, the Commonwealth countries, and all right. And we also understand that this is the kind of accent that is studied by Daniel Jones, A.C. Gimson, and other philologists of other leading philologists of England, right? And now we have the what is known as the international phonetic alphabet, right? The international phonetic alphabet. Okay, so this particular received pronunciation, okay, is of course the accent of English. And English is an alphabetic language, right? It's an alphabetic language. You have alphabets to represent the sounds, all right? Rather, you can say that the alphabets and the sounds are different, right? And now, because you have an international alphabetic chart, because you have maybe a cardinal vowel chart developed by philologists, all right, linguists, okay, the very standard English received pronunciation can be represented with phonetic symbols, and all the phonetic symbols of the received pronunciation or educated standard English are developed by, formulated by Daniel Jones, A.C. Gimson, and all, and that's what we study in our colleges and of course all the very colleges and universities where you have received pronunciation. And based on that, we have 20 vowel sounds, 12 plus, all right, 8, 12 pure vowels plus of course 8 diphthongs. Similarly, 24 consonants, and we study that, and we articulate the same accent, and that is received pronunciation. All right, is it clear? If at all you didn't get a class on received pronunciation, I think this is enough. And if you want an essay, I can give you an essay on received pronunciation. But now that it is not specifically given in our syllabus, you don't have to worry, but still you must have an idea about what is received pronunciation. Did my short lecture help you understand what is received pronunciation? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir.
All right. Now we move on to the next question. Third question from part A. Part A, you have 7 short essay questions. Part B, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 long essay questions. We looked at the second short essay question. Now we are looking at the third short essay question. Role of William the Conqueror's victory in the development of English language. All right. So England or British Isles before William Conqueror is of course rather unstable, but William Conqueror, because of maybe of course Alfred the Great is an exception, right? Alfred the Great is an exception, right? But even after that you have the very arrival of the Norse people, the Danish people. Okay, so 1066 William the Conqueror comes there, and he has a total control of the British Isles, and you will understand that the very monarchs and queens of Britain, okay, all they are all in the dynasty of William the Conqueror, and from that you understand that William the Conqueror has a great supremacy or great control, dominance in Britain, and that just resulted in unifying the governance, administration, and of course all the the very day-to-day life of the British people. All right, and with William the Conqueror comes the Normans. All right, and with Normans, William the Conqueror, you have the entry of the French language and the Anglo-Saxon or Old English, which is already smeared with Celtic, Norse, then of course some Latin. Okay, a lot of Latin and Greek, right, is right now just is going to be filled with of course a lot of French words, right? So English language, the so-called English language, is going to be under the influence of the French language, and thousands of vocabulary items enter the English language, because in the royal codes you have French, and in the church court you have of course in all the church houses of church you have places, right, you have of course Latin, and among the common people, the 95% on people, 90+% of the people are common people. They are using Anglo-Saxon, and mixing and mingling of the English people and the French people, and the language undergoing a great change, and from a period of full of inflections to a leveling of inflex, and gradually to a decay or loss of in English, right? And we understand that it is of course the very victory of William the Conqueror that is just bringing stability in the country politically. Political stability leads to of course economic stability, and economic stability leads to of course the very stability of culture, religion, and of course language, right? And we see that the very modern English is developing from the English of the medieval period, and it is developing from of course the East Midland dialect, right? You can write more aspects of the Middle English right now. Okay, Middle English pronunciation. Now you can add Middle English pronunciation, Middle English vocabulary, Middle English spelling, Middle English of course literature. Is that okay? The role of William the Conqueror's victory in the development of the English language. Is that okay? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So don't have any kind of confusion, right? You must, everything should come very vividly, brick by brick, right? One by one, things should come to your mind. So you should have a very comprehensive idea, and remaining days, read a lot, think about, and write it right. Conduct some examinations for you. All right, next question. General characteristics of early modern English. All right, general characteristics of early modern English. I told you the other day, you can begin, of course, maybe by mentioning the first thing, like it's a repetition, like, okay, old English is full of inflection, then middle English is leveling, and modern English decay or loss of inflections. All right, then you have, of course, the synthetic language becoming analytic. Okay, so should I repeat all those features I told you in the lecture?
No,
I
sir.
think last week we saw all the features of modern English, and second part you should say how modern English is becoming maybe very rich with lot of vocabulary, like you have the expansion of vocabulary, and that expansion of vocabulary come to the second part of your essay, and you will just write that. Okay, the modern English is so vast with you have a heterogeneous kind of vocabulary, and the heterogeneous vocabulary of the varied vocabulary of modern English is coming from scientific, technological development, okay, medicine, film, journalism, media, radio, wars, revolutions. All right, then of course lot of maybe borrowing Spanish words, French words, Hindustani words, Sanskrit words, right? Right, 5 each for each language. A perfect answer you have there. That is the characteristics of early modern English. Include all this, right? Whatever I told you. Mention all the 10 characteristics we said, and thereafter, maybe if you see that you have been written enough, you need to write some more, add some vocabulary. Is that okay? Hello.
Yes, sir. It's okay.
Now the next question, Latin influence on English during the industrial age. Okay, Latin influence on English during the industrial age. Okay, so you have that the very word, the industrial age, right? That is of course the latter half of the 18th century and the early decades of the 19th century. You have the industrial revolution, and that is of course, remember, the very period in the modern this is of course modern English period. All right, so what, you don't have to be confused by this question. Maybe you will be confused, right? There may be some kind of confusing questions like that. Okay, Latin influence on English during the industrial age, right? So when you see this kind of a question, okay, maybe slightly or rather bewildering kind of confusing kind of a question, don't be baffled by that. You can give a very good intro by stating the fact that Latin did influence the English language ever since the days of the Romans. This is a wonderful beginning. Now that you spoke about the Romans, you can just go on writing about, maybe when you just look at industrial age, you would just oh my god, you would just lose your confidence, right? But don't lose your confidence, right? Because you have Latin there, whatever you know about Latin can be written there. All right, and maybe of course you can in the introduction mention what is industrial age, what's happening in industrial age, and what is that scientific changes, technological changes, the kind of changes in, okay, medicine, changes in, of course, power generation, changes in media, journalism, radio, then locomotive. Any confusion? Hello? Any
No, sir. It's clear.
Yeah, but I know some students will be baffled by the question industrial age. Oh my god, industrial age, what is that? No, my dear students, you have no worry, no tension. You know what is industrial age, right? Lot of industrial revolution, machinery, lot of inventions. Okay, you have the power generation, electricity, you have locomotives, you have the railroad, you have the cable, telephone, radio. Look at that. Just write about all that, and you will say that, okay, most of the modern English vocabulary entered, of course, right, became English through Latin and Greek, right? Okay, so a lot of Latin words became English. That is of course right, from Old English period to Middle English period, of course, to modern English, right? And it continues even in 21st century. Okay, lot of vocabulary items from foreign languages entering the English language continues, and it will go on continuing. Language will go on developing, evolving, changing. That's what you can say. So is that question clear? Number 5, Latin influence on English
Yes,
during
sir. Yes, sir.
industrial. All right, now the influence of the authorized version of the Bible? Short question. The influence of the authorized version of the Bible. So I think last week I gave you in fact a lecture on the influence of important writers on the English language, and there we came to, of course, the very influence of lot of writers and Bible translators. Okay, and we looked at the very influence of John Wycliffe, the influence of John Wycliffe. So also the influence of Miles Coverdale we saw, and thereafter we also saw the influence of the authorized version of the Bible. That is, of course, the King's James First, right? King's version, King's Bible, or James First Bible, right? So the influence of the authorized version of the Bible, right? That's the question. So what you have to say is, okay, you have to mention what is the authorized version of the Bible. 1611, James First appointed 51 scholars, and all these 51 scholars sat together and translated the Bible into, of course, English, all right? And that is the very authorized version of 1611, all right? And now what's happening is, this is in fact, they are translating a Tyndale, a version of the Tyndale translation, okay? And also this is in fact, authorized version is a Bible which is a further translation or an improvisation of the translation of Tyndale and Wycliffe. So you have William Tyndale there, okay, and you have John Wycliffe there. So the very translations of Tyndale and Wycliffe are just improvised, and all those books which were left untranslated in their translation was, of course, translated and added. And now the influence, so many phrases, so many rhythmic style, okay, and syntax from Bible influence the people of England, because they are used to reading Bible, and a lot of phrases from Bible enters the English language, such as prodigal son, mess or pottage, okay. Then of course you have a lot of vocabulary items like damsel, rhyme, apparel, all right. And you will see that you have a lot of very as a result of Bible being translations of Hebrew and Greek, lot of idiomatic expressions from Hebrew and Greek enter English language. And you have expressions like to cast pearls before swine, the shadow of death, a howling wilderness, the 11th hour, hope against hope, okay. And similarly we have the very famous popular expressions like I wash my hands of this whole affair. Pontius Pilate washing his hands when Jesus is about to be handed over to for crucifixion, right? I wash my hands of this whole affair. Similarly, you have a lot of phrases like Song of Solomon, the rain is over and gone, voice of the turtle is heard no more, rain is over and gone, okay, all right. Then all these expressions, right, these poetic idiomatic expressions are used by subsequent poets like romantic poets, William Wordsworth, and even our Blake. They are all just writing poetry after the idiomatic expressions of Bible. Besides, you can say lot of literary expressions, right? Just like very biblical phrases enter the English language, and you have something like to spoil the Egyptian, a still small voice, a voice in the wilderness, Solomon's wisdom, Daniel's judgment, dropping of manna from the skies, doubting Thomas. And this you would say, maybe your friend is rather doubtful, you would say, oh, are you maybe especially among Christians and Catholics, you would say, right, are you doubting Thomas? Yeah, people in Christians and Catholics in Kerala, they are of course they were of course initially Hindus and Brahmins and and they were converted to Christianity by Saint Thomas, the disciple of Jesus. So they would say, yeah, I am a doubting Thomas, or you are a doubting Thomas. So also when somebody is just betraying you, you would say that, oh, you are playing Judas' role. All right. So a lot of expressions. You have hundreds of expressions. I'm just giving you some. Physician, heal thyself, from Luke. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Jesus on cross, right? Then bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh is Genesis, right? About Eve, all right? Then the love of money is the root of all evils, right? So similarly, a lot of, right, hundreds of expressions from Bible is entering the English language, and that's about the influence of Bible. Is it okay? Right? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the next question, that is seventh. All right. Question from, right, the short short essay. Seventh question, and that is the question. All right. Okay. The question is spelling reform in English. Spelling reform in English. So, do you have some material on spelling reform in English? I think this is not there in our syllabus. Yeah, it's there. Okay. Yeah, attempts to reform English spelling, section C. Did you get some material? Hello. It's not my section still. I'm asking you. Have you got some material still?
Ma'am said she'll give, sir.
I didn't hear you. Hello.
She has, ma'am said she'll give, sir.
You will get it. Okay, you will get it, right. That's wonderful. So spelling reform, right, a lot of reforms you have, right, under different right, people, right. So you have to mention whatever Milton does, whatever of course Bernard Shaw does, whatever other philologists and linguists does. Okay, spelling reforms at different times in, of course, the evolution of the English language. All right, that is there. Now we come to the second part, part 2. Long essays. Answer any 4 questions, each carry 5 weightage. Okay. The first is comment on the significance of the great vowel shift in the evolution of English language. The significance of the great vowel shift in the evolution of the English language, and we had a discussion yesterday. What is the great vowel shift, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? We just looked at the periods of great vowel shift. We also looked at the central stages of the great vowel shift, and we also saw the irregularities that the vowel shift involved, and we also saw the possible reasons for the great vowel shift. And altogether you have yeah, 7 pages. I told you that yesterday. Are you confident? Study this. This is important. Okay. Is it okay? Is it clear? Should I tell you anything else about great vowel shift? Hello.
No, sir, it's clear.
Okay.
No, sir, it's
All right. Now the next question: Germanic family of languages. And okay, remember how thoroughly we studied that. I was telling you all the time during our initial spell, okay, of the semester about the Germanic family of languages, and you know, I don't have to repeat that. Are you confident of that? Germanic family of languages, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
you know that we studied that, right? How, okay, you have the Indo-European family of languages, the Eastern, the Western, and of course then the development of English from the West Germanic. Okay. All right, 3 branches of West Germanic. Should I repeat? I don't have to. You have the note with you. We studied that very clearly, isn't it? Confident?
Yes, sir.
Are
Yes,
you
sir.
confident? Aren't you confident? I want an answer.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Next question. Elaborate the relation between scientific progress and development of language. Okay. So same question is repeated there. Okay. That is the Latin influence on English during the industrial age. This is exactly the question. Expansion of vocabulary. Okay. Elaborate on the relation between scientific progress and development of the language. Okay. So expansion of vocabulary. You have a lot of top 13 points, 10 plus points there. Expansion of vocabulary. Okay. Number 1, growth of science. Number 2, automobile. Vocabulary items coming from automobile. Okay. Then of course film, broadcasting, computer, World War. All right. Then you have a lot of coinages. Okay. then you have journalism, all right. All that will form the answer of the relation between scientific progress and development of language. You can just write the very answer, expansion of vocabulary. Okay, as a result of, you can say that as a result of the relation between science, or rather as a result of scientific progress, language developed, and we have a very very vast vocabulary in English. One by one you can mention. Okay, is it clear? Any doubt? Hello.
No, sir, it's clear.
All right. Next question. Write an essay on word formation and the growth of vocabulary. Okay, you have different, um, uh, uh, in fact, processes of, word formation, and just mention all the different processes, such as compounding. You have number one is compounding, then you have derivation, then you have back formation, then shortening or clipping, acronym, all that. Then you have syncopation, you have telescoping, root creation, then you have okay, portmanteau words, all right. Then you have folk etymology, okay, functional shift, all right. Then words deriving from proper names, okay. All that is the answer to word formation. Confident? Hello. Aren't you
Yes.
confident?
Yeah.
Learn
Yes, sir.
everything
Yes, sir.
one by one. Word formation, okay, all the points I studied. Go with confidence. Write the exam very cool. Get full score. Next question, that is question number 12, and that is the fifth question in section B. The influence of colonialism on the English language. I gave you a lecture the other day. Yesterday we saw there are 32 points. 32 points, and I have shared the material today with you, not yeah, today with you. And aren't you confident? The very influence of colonialism and imperialism on the English language. Should I repeat everything, all the points? I gave you 32 points yesterday. Study all the 32.
No, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
Next question. Okay, explain the term Englishes and its significance. Section C. And I don't have to talk to you, but still I can give you, okay, all the very English, right? The British English, the American English. All right, British English you have to write maybe one page, right? American English, Australian English, New Zealand English, Indian English, all right, general Indian English, all right. Then of course Sinhalese English, right? Lot of Englishes, right? All the Englishes you can write about. I would say maybe 10, 15, or 20 Englishes. The English of maybe Nigeria, the English of course, right, India, and even in India you have the North Indian accent, the South Indian accent, maybe the central, maybe in Maharashtra a peculiar accent, Gujarat a peculiar accent, all right, in Kerala again, right, some, all right, different Englishes. Very easy question, general, even without maybe a lot of material you can answer that question. Englishes, if you are into reading maybe the different aspects of the language, right? So that is one of the question papers, right? Part A, short questions, and part B, long essays, right? I think with this I can leave you here for your study holidays, and I am sure you will write the examination very well. So please be systematic in your study holidays. Prepare short notes. Ensure that you have studied everything very well. I wish you all the best. Now I am ready to listen to you again, right?